What's up? It's your boy Carcino here on One Crack News, and let's speak on some news. Now, Meghan sat down, her and Harry sat down in front of the Queen of England. Joke. Sat down, y'all just got here. Okay, sat down with the Queen of Television, Oprah, to talk about the Queen of England. A lot of people have been wanting my response to this since it went down. Piers Morgan made a response on his long-running TV show, Good Morning Britain, and immediately resigned after he was going to be fired, after the statements he made. And then people thought it'd be best to see what I think about people from the UK. Well, let's get it, because a lot needs to be said here. First thing that needs to be addressed is the fact that this interview was not an interview to me. As you could tell, when Oprah does an interview, she normally takes charge. This was an interview in which they knew the questions they were going to be asked, the talk points, and they knew how to handle everything that was coming. There was nothing thrown at them whatsoever. They were here to reveal. It was nothing that wasn't in a position to be set up. Okay, so if this was a black person, they've been trying to set traps. Oprah would have been trying to engage them in some type of thing to say to blow up the interview, to make them dig deeper. She didn't challenge them on any damn thing. Not one time did she challenge or ask anything deep. She didn't say expand, dig deeper, or so what are you trying to say? Any of that was thrown out there. Any of those would have been acceptable. She didn't do it. Underhand softball. All night long. So what I'm listening to, and she comes out and she makes the statements, because it's not about Harry. It's really all about Meghan. Harry's just there because he's the royal family. So he's just like, I'm here because this is my wife. So she sits there and starts saying, oh, and I can't get protection and everybody else can, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, did you think diversity existed within the royal family before you got there, Meghan? Then was like, oh, the queen was amazing. I bet she was. The queen probably was like accepting. She was the first person she saw. You ain't gonna badmouth the queen. You better not. In the family, out the family, you know better than that. Now, here's the thing. Harry can never be king. The only way Harry could be king if something was to happen to his brother. We've seen it in all these movies, even The Lion King. He can't be king. So if Harry or his brother, Harry's big brother, have kids, they go in before Harry. The second son is almost an insurance policy. That's it. In case something happens to the big son, the one that's next in line, we got a backup plan. So Harry was never going to be king. He knew this. He was the Duke. The Duke is next to doo-doo. The Duke go out to war, fight, do all this stuff, and then his brother gets to be the king and tell him what to do. for the rest of his life. So he's always going to be second fiddle. And his kids will be second fiddle. But they're in the royal family. They'll find something for them to do. So that's the structure of the royal family. It's all about the firstborn son. Now, Harry is different, where his brother was being groomed to be king. He's being groomed to just be the Duke. So he was free to get wild. He was free to party it up. He was in Vegas and tore up the whole hotels. He was wilding out. By the way, they erased all of that footage from the internet, everywhere else you could find, but I'm quite sure TMZ still have it somewhere in their files and vaults of naked Prince Harry running down the hallways in Vegas drunk. So he was more expansive as far as dealing with people outside of the circle of the royal family and all that proper blah, blah, blah. Now, here comes this reality television actress, Meghan Markle. They bring her in. He starts dating her. And he falls in love. She put it on him. And Harry's mind is blown. And Harry's, I'm going to marry her. I love her. And that's that. That's final. Love you. So she's, you know what? You're going to be my wife. And I don't care what anyone in the royal family has to say. I want you, babe. She loves me and she wants to be my wife. They were like, oh no, he's bringing an American reality television star in here. Did we vet our family? Yep. Does it look bad? It's bad. Oh God. But we can't turn Harry away. He's the royal family. We're going to look like bigots. We got to bring her in with open arms. So they open her arms up and she walks in there and then she like, there's racism in there. I'll be like, there's racism in Starbucks. Yeah, what you think was going to happen if you go into the royal family? Like, you're not going to experience racism? You're going to experience all of it. She's shocked. I'm like, Harry, I had to leave for protection for my child. My child wasn't safe. Your child was never going to be safe in the royal family, period. They weren't really going to care about you, Harry. Nobody was plotting to harm the child or nothing like that. Your children were never going to be looked at in that light anyway. They just weren't. You were not going to be king. Your children will not be, they will just basically take whatever title you had, but that's it. They were never going to be respected as royalty, so you might as well leave. But she was so miserable there, she broke out another thing about her being possible suicidal. And everybody jumped up and said, yeah. They jumped up and like, oh my God, she's feeling suicidal. And she went for help and they said no. And that's what Piers Morgan said. That's BS. I don't think she did any of that. She probably did. And I believe they told her that's going to look bad on the family because it does. But if they really wanted to get her help, they could have. She's not the first royal family member that have problems. They just fix things in-house. There's a way that she would have had all of that and it would have never leaked out to the press. if they wanted it like that. Plenty of things the Duchess did, Fergie the Duchess. We remember that they swept all that stuff under the rug because they're the royal family. And the person that leaked out anything about Fergie, oh well, they probably had to leave the country. You don't do anything or print anything about the royal family unless you know you have permission. Can't help his wife. There's the only way he can help his wife is to move out of England and go to the United States of America. Now they promised to give him startup money so they can get started and set up, and they could be just basically cut off from all royal family duties and everything else. This is a black eye to the royal family, so they had to go and negotiate this and what they can say and what they can't say. And what they can't say is anything bad about the queen. They cannot. That is under the conditions that Harry was released. He cannot, or she can't, Meghan, can never say anything bad about the queen. That is not going to be accepted, period, in any way, shape, or form. So they spoke very highly of the queen. Whether it might have been BS or not, they knew better. Don't disrespect the queen. Exactly. The royal family has made their fortune. How do you think they became the royal family? They made their fortune through blood and dust, off the backs of people that look darker than Meghan, taking their gold, their resources, everything. And they're collecting and living off of the equity of it. So their riches comes off the back of people whose color was darker than mine. So if I'm supposed to respect and honor the kingdom and all of that royalty, and they didn't learn how to be royalty, they didn't learn how to have a king, a duchess, a queen until they were in Egypt. They learned that structure in Africa, what is known as Africa now. And they took that back to their domain. So when they started talking about rules and customs and no, we taught you. There's a place that they have in Europe called the Holies of the Holy, which is mimicked exactly off of our place that was built for the gods in England. I mean, in Egypt. And they replicated it over in England, you know. And I think they call it the holiest of the holy and all that. If I'm not mistaken, my knowledge could be a little bit off. It's been years, years. So you might have to use Google on that one and see what you come up with. The nose off the Sphinx. That was Napoleon. Napoleon did that one. But that's not the only thing they did. They did it in all artifacts everywhere to try to hide the legacy. So they knew if you looked at the nose, you would know exactly who the people were. So they made sure they did it to all artifacts everywhere. They would take the nose off. Now back to the interview. So now she's pregnant with their second child and she's ready to have the other baby. You know, Harry defected from the royal family, which he was never connected to that thing anyway. Harry, like I told you, he was of no importance to the royal family. Even if the son goes now, like Harry, his big brother dies, Prince William, whatever, William's sons, William got two sons now. They are the ones that's going to take over the royal family. That's your new kings. That's your royal family. Harry's kids are just his cousins. Come over to play with them. That's it. It's like you move into a place where you're the only person in there like you in a royal family, right? And you think that you're going to be treated better or equal to them. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. There's people with lesser titles that would talk to her all different type of ways, and she couldn't believe it. Like, they talk to me this way because they don't view you as equal. You're